I guess that's the right. Okay, so I want to welcome Stephen to my conversation and interview with Widowed Not Alone. And Stephen, I'd like to start with, where are you from?
I'm from Garden City, Long Island in New York.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a distance from where we are in Dix Hills. So how did, first of all, how long were you married?
I was married for 12 years.
12 years to Noel.
To Noel.
Yeah, and how many kids do you have?
We have two, and I have a daughter who is just turned 12, and my son is 13, almost 14.
Okay, and how did you find out about my group?
So it was through a friend of a friend. And I'm so happy to this day that she was so persistent on just following up on me and making sure that I found you, because, after everything happens, you just want to, crawl into a shell, and you don't want to do anything like this anyway.
So you didn't, so you were reluctant when you heard about it.
Yeah.
What was your first thought, like support group?
Well, sitting in a group and talking about how bad you feel, to me was just, the thought of it was just tough. It was like you want to just crawl up in a shell and you don't want to really do much.
So did you really sit around in a group and talk about how bad you feel?
Well, we worked through problems. We talked about commonalities that we had just from the day-to-day grind, and the similarities of all the problems we're facing now that other people really don't understand. So,
didn't that feel comforting for you? I mean,
it did.
To have someone like, I always felt like Debbie Downer if I'd go into a group with my grief and they didn't understand it. And here you're going into a group with people who do understand it. Yeah.
I mean, it helps you to, you want to make sure you're not going crazy, and you're not, all the feelings you're having now, not only did your heart break in half and you have physical pain, you have, all the emotional pain that went along with it. And you feel like you're, what are you doing and how are you handling things? And then you're sitting in a group of people who know exactly how you feel. And that to me was worth its weight in gold, because the stories I couldn't really share with just anybody, because they just don't know how that feels, in this group made 100% perfect sense.
That's great. And so the group runs for 8 weeks. Were you able to go to every group meeting?
Couldn't wait for every week. Was at every meeting. Yeah.
That's great. That's great to know that. Do you still meet with your group?
We meet with the group we try to meet all the time. Actually, we're meeting this weekend, and we talk probably almost every single day.
That's amazing. And when were you in my group? Like, what group were you in? What year?
So we were it was 2020, January 8th it started and went through the beginning of March. Was our last class.
So you were the last group before the pandemic?
We were.
That met in person?
Yes.
And what's pretty amazing I had about 7 groups going on at that time. Not one person caught COVID, and we didn't know that COVID was around. So that was pretty amazing, I have to say.
I remember the potluck was in jeopardy, and we were kind of toggling, trying to keep that alive. And
yeah, we were trying to keep that gathering going, but I couldn't. I was just too nervous about passing it on, because I wasn't really sure what the pandemic was about. And I was worried about solo parents and someone catching it. Yeah. So that's awesome that you guys still meet. So to generalize this, like in total, what do you feel like the group has done for you besides the connection, the similarities? Has it helped you in your healing?
It definitely did. There's a bond that develops between the people, and I just gained 9 other really, really good friends that I can call and discuss. And really, they understand as soon as you talk about the issue, it kind of like goes through your body a different way, and you know what they're feeling. And I gained just that whole avenue of just, I'm not by myself. I have somebody to lean on if I need.
That's so nice to have that.
Yeah.
So besides the group connection, was there anything that you learned? Like we give like different tools after each meeting. We try to give like journaling and different things. Did you have any takeaways like that, or was it just the connection with the people?
No, it was that too. I mean, I remember what stuck out. above all the other weeks was, every week, it's great how you broke down different chapters. And the one chapter that we all didn't really struggle with, but it was a new concept. We had to learn to ask for help. And that was one of the topics. And we had everyone in our group is just so self-sufficient, and they're all doers. And to ask, to be able to feel vulnerable and ask somebody for help was a really great conversation. And, it's okay. And people understand, and people want to help you. So that was one of the things.
They really do. I think that's like the misconception that we have. It's like at the wake, everyone's like, anything I could do for you, anything I could do for you. And then they don't do anything, and we're waiting for them to do it. And instead, it's like they need direction from us. And we don't realize that because we're so caught up in our grief that we don't realize that we have to actually say, you know what, I could use help with something. And we feel so vulnerable to do that. Like, what if they reject us? Or what if I'm intruding on their time? But I think when someone's young, like yourself with young kids, when they say, if there's anything I could do, they mean it. They just don't know why.
And the other thing is the people in the group know what you're probably going to need. So anybody with any experience is going to be able to talk to you and say, well, look into this, or we'll be here for this. This is who you can use. Or if you have trouble with this, because they know off the top of their head what we're facing, as opposed to someone else who's
absolutely
not in that situation. So the experiences, and especially with you, I mean, if all the immediate contacts fail, Catherine is there for the ultimate question in case nobody's dealt with it before, and try this, and then you always come up with an answer.
Well, I have lots of years of experience, and many people with different situations that you get to listen and learn throughout the years. So for me, that's where I get that from. Not that I'm an authority on anything, but just the experience alone has made me understand, like, if this doesn't work, maybe this will work, Stephen, I so appreciate your time today and coming, and maybe this video will help someone understand. A lot of people come and they sign up and then they lose courage. And I think that they think that the group is something than what it is. They think everyone's sitting around crying. I remember stepping in your group and everybody was laughing. And that seems to be like, I think the preconceived notion is it's a support group about death and loss. So everybody must be sitting around crying. And one of the things that really I always wanted to emphasize was we don't discuss the death, because that would be a crying group.
Right.
We discuss on how to move forward and the similarities so that you guys can move forward.
Right.
And I think that's what makes our groups different, is that we're really focused not on what each person lost their person with, but the fact that, how do I go forward with my kids now? What do I do now? Like, what do I do with what I'm left with? And together, with the support of each other, you can get through the every day. And then you look back and it's a year, right?
Yeah. I mean, it started out where I sat in the class and I was just to myself. I almost didn't want to write my name on the sheet. And then it turned into just a really beautiful bond. And I still remember one time coming down the hallway, I was late to class, and I heard all the laughter and all the cheering. And then I came through the door and everyone's like, yeah, they're screaming. And I said, it sounds like a bar in here. I said, we're going to get thrown out of the church. I said, this doesn't sound like a bereavement group. But at the same time, we'll have laughter and stuff like that. But then we get into the topics, we can empty a box of tissues. So we go back and forth. But there's the reality of it that this is what's happening. We have to get through it together, and you have the help of the friends in that group. And just very fortunate, made some really good connections.
That's amazing. And over the years, I've had many groups like that. If people just give it the time to get to know each other and not judge, because when we first walk in, I think we do a lot of judging. Like, is this for me? I don't think this is for me. I don't know. And if we could just get past that point and give other people a chance, we could see that we do have a lot in common,
That would be my biggest advice for this, because being coming from the point where I didn't want anything to do with a group like this, and going to where I am now, where I couldn't recommend this more, I would say just give it a few weeks, because in the beginning, like you just said, you sit there, you're in your own, you don't want to be there. You just want to go crawl up in a ball at home. And now you're in this room with strange people. Let the strange people open up, and you will see the commonalities that exist between you. and you have an opportunity to really have some great bonds develop.
That's great. That's great. That's great advice to someone who's just coming in. Yeah. Again, I appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you.